I'm recording too.
I am recording.
Okay, now I'm recording.
Has anyone not recorded before?
Yes.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time.
We specifically have started recording the Hangout call like on Hangouts because people have forgotten to record the call so many times.
People.
Particular.
I mean, I've done it too. I had like a whole episode where I had to use the Hangouts call for myself. All right. You're listening to the Station 71 podcast. My name is Mario, and this week I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Brian
and Kirsten.
So this week we have some very special guests on our show. I'm really bad with names. What were your names again? I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Alex and Griffin.
Okay, so we have some very special guests. We have some very special guests on our show this week. Kirsten's friends, Alex and Griffin, are joining us to talk about a very exciting topic. But as always, let's first dive into the news.
Oh, and actually, I was going to start out too by saying how I know them.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
Okay. So most people who listen know that I did the Disney College program, and Alex was one of my roommates. And then she married Griffin. So that's how we got him. But one of my favorite stories about Alex is one of our other roommates really did all the work to kind of find us and get us all together and decide we were going to live together. And I remember when she had me add Alex on Facebook, and Alex's profile picture was just this picture of her like staring at the camera very candidly, like with this weird look on her face. And my first thought was like, oh, this girl looks weird. I'm not going to like her. But I did. So
it turned out good.
Well, that's always a good thing.
Anyway, now we can start with the news.
Yeah, sure. So first news topic we have this week is that the first of its kind Play Pavilion, a new park entrance, will be part of Epcot's historic transformation. As most people know, the Wonders of Life Pavilion has sat empty for a while, but it looks like there's going to be some stuff coming that way soon as they revamp the entranceway for Epcot. Looks like they're going to start putting an entrance in that direction and a new Play Pavilion in there. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
I'm loving the new entrance design. I think bringing more plant life and having it more living instead of the, tombstones. We're kind of moving in the opposite of the direction, getting away from the death and bringing in the life. I like it.
I actually love the Leave a Legacy statues, but I mean, I don't mind that they're moving them, but I do think that I'm in the minority because I don't mind them either.
Oh, you're definitely in the minority.
I actually have a photo for Leave a Legacy on there.
Really?
I'm glad that they're keeping them, because I know there had been a lot of rumors that they're going to get rid of them because I guess, when you signed the contract, when you did the picture, I think they only had to keep it till X year. I think it might have been 2020. Mm-hmm. So I am glad that they're not getting rid of them completely, because I do like to go and see, me and my mom in the picture from way back when.
So I take it exactly where you are and you can find yourself pretty quick, because that's always been a thing I've wondered is how easily can you find yourself?
It's hard to remember sometimes, honestly, but they have the location of everyone. So if you go into that little shop, it used to be called the Kodak shop, where you got your pictures and everything.
Yeah.
They have the book, and you just give them your name and they can look you up and they'll tell you exactly where it is.
Oh, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would do something like that again, like the bricks at Magic Kingdom and that, because I didn't go to Disney World when they did any of that stuff. And I think it'd be fun now to have a picture or a brick or whatever. But in addition to this, this play, whatever thing they're doing, I do think it's kind of funny that they announced this the same day or the day after Universal announced this new Hogwarts crazy ride. I feel like Universal is stepping up their game, and Disney needs to do more to impress us. I don't know.
Well, I feel I think I've said this before. I feel like everything Disney's done in the last couple of years has been a knee-jerk response to something Universal has done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and they're oh shoot, what do we do? Pandora.
Yeah. And then Star Wars, which I think Star Wars will be great, but
yeah,
it's taking them. They can't even build a parking garage in 5 years. So
this is very true. So next up, we have surprise, another Skyliner Watch news story. It looks like we're getting some design concepts for the Skyliners seen through the tarps as they're testing them. Looks like they've been Pooh and Friends have been spotted. Snow White and Seven Dwarfs have been spotted. Mickey and Minnie, which we kind of knew about from the press release. Donald, Daisy, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Goofy, and that seems to be it. So more Skyliner Watch.
I loved how salty this person that wrote this article was when they have the Snow White one, and it says Snow White seems pretty okay with being cramped in there with 7 other people and no AC.
Yeah, I sound like a broken record, but I just don't understand how those aren't going to have air conditioning and people aren't going to just like roast alive, especially if they ever stop for any reason.
Oh yeah. One thing I did notice, like looking at these pictures, though, the gondolas are spaced a lot closer together than I had originally pictured them being. So it does look like they're going to be able to move people a little bit quicker than I thought.
Have you seen the video of them actually moving? Because
I
they
actually
move
didn't
very
watch the
fast.
video. Is it slow? See, I remember way back when we were first getting news about these, and there was that Reddit post about the person that like calculated the speeds and everything that this company had made gondolas at before. So have we pretty much confirmed that they aren't actually going to be moving that fast?
They're moving very fast. Like the videos have them moving like really, really quickly. I think it was clocked at like 15 miles an hour, which doesn't sound fast, but when you're that high up, it's pretty fast.
That's good. Yeah, no, I think the person was saying like 20 miles an hour or so, but I mean 15, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was like a rough estimate of 15. Like it was like when someone clocked it with like a radar scanner, it was like somewhere in the high 13s, but still that seems very fast.
Yeah. Again, I'll probably ride these once to say I did it, but I don't know how viable this is going to be for actual transportation use.
Yeah. Okay, so next up on our news topics, we have that the height requirements were revealed for Rise of the Resistance, and the ride features a swift drop for guests in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So this ride is going to have. Did it actually have like a height?
So
40
they
inches.
haven't actually said what the height is going to be, but they've announced there's going to be one.
It says 40 inches in this article.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I just read that over as I was like,
Oh yeah, it does. You're right. I completely missed
that. It's okay. I'll edit that out. So it looks like it's going to be about 40 inches. Yeah, that's cool. I mean,
I know that height requirements are like necessary for some things, but it does. I don't love it because I feel like my child is going to be one of the people who's left out of that for like a long, long time, which makes me sad whenever they do things like that. I mean, I realize that you can't get around it, but I wish that I guess we just had better technology in general, so things didn't need height requirements so often.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing about this article, and it makes me kind of wonder along to your point, it says, for the record, other trackless Disney attractions such as Mystic Manor and Ratatouille do not have restrictions as they do not feature such drops. I wonder how steep of the drop it has to be for it to really be a danger that they need to implement height restrictions.
That's what I was wondering about, because I thought it was so interesting that they are using the trackless system and then incorporated a drop into it. So
yeah, that seems like a safety risk in and of itself.
I know, right? So I don't know. I'm curious, though. It's definitely got my interest peaked.
And then last one that we have on here is that there are some changes coming to the FastPass Plus system, aiming to reduce the misuse of the service. Looks like Disney's come out with a new system that if you cancel your reservation, your fast passes will also be canceled as well. This basically is along the same terms of the fairness stuff that we were talking about before. Yeah, I'm all for this. I'm so against people gaming the system like this.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, people, I feel like I would never even think to do something like that, and people have to ruin everything.
Yeah. So that said, I guess we just like breezed through the news topics this week. I'm ready to talk about this. Are you guys ready to talk about this?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
We're ready.
So this week, I don't even know if I said this already, but we're talking about Disney weddings. I'm very excited, and I know this is a topic that a couple people have asked us to talk about, but we didn't really have the experience to. Excuse me. Uh, but yeah, so we didn't have the experience to, and now that we have someone that has this experience, I'm very excited to learn a lot about what you guys had to go through and like the experience that you guys had with like planning a wedding at Disney.
Sure. And I guess we can just kick it off if that's okay too.
Yeah, go
with
ahead.
A little background. Okay.
Sure.
So I guess in terms of picking Disney, we had talked, before we got engaged, and then when we got engaged, on where we wanted to get married, and we knew for sure that we wanted to do a destination wedding. And even though I did the college program, I wasn't like 100% sold on the idea of doing a Disney wedding. And we looked into that, but also traveling to like an island and getting married there. And a big thing that like played in our decision was travel and like being able to have as many people that we invited be able to go to the wedding, since it's a destination wedding. And so the fact that it's still, in the continental US would allow, we thought, a lot more people to be able to go. And there's a lot of different places people can stay, or they could turn it into another vacation, et cetera. So that's kind of where we landed with wanting to, I guess, look into it further and to pursue having a Disney wedding. And so after we got engaged, I think we just reached out to Disney.
I think it was just a quick email.
Yeah, I think it was too. I think it was on just their website that we reached out. And then someone from their side reached out to us via email, just asking us some questions about dates.
Yeah, very bare bones questions,
right. Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of specifics, just rough estimates.
Mm-hmm. And we wanted to get married fairly quickly after we got engaged. And Disney will actually not let you officially book anything until 12 months out.
Wow.
And so,
Oh man.
Yeah, so we got engaged in December, and so we decided to get married in November of the following year. So we kind of had to move a little quickly because
it went pretty quick.
Yeah, because people do wait. I mean, there are lots of people that know exactly, what day they want to get married.
Sorry.
Oh. Let's repeat what you just said.
There are a lot of people that obviously know more than a year in advance what day they want to get married and, the venue and everything. So they basically have to wait until the 12-month mark and to be able to even put in where they want to get married. So we kind of had to pick quickly because people had already been able to pick like venues and dates at that time.
Yeah, it seemed like stuff was going quicker.
Right. So we kind of got the ball moving pretty quickly. And around that time, I was supposed to run the half marathon at Disney too. So we traveled down there for the half marathon, and we were able to talk with the Disney wedding planners at their venue. Like, what is that called?
The pavilion?
No, they have right next to the wedding pavilion. They have
It's like a little office.
Yeah, just like
the little office, their offices, where they meet with people that want to get married there. And so we went there and chatted with them, and we went on a site visit. So we were able to pick, I think, 3 or 4 venues that we wanted to visit. And they took us around and drove us to each of the venues.
Now, having been on the college program and like gone to Disney, did you have an idea on where you wanted to get married, or was it just kind of like you had to go and actually research the venues first, like before you did it?
So we definitely researched the venues.
Yeah, because I definitely did not know enough about the venues and
Griffin
Disney in
been
general. So
often. So we looked at them all. We looked sort of on paper at all the different venues. And honestly, almost anything is a venue. Like if you have enough money, your venue could be anywhere. There's a lot of options. But we had an idea that we wanted to get married outside, or at least have like an outside component. So we saw Seabreeze Point, and we saw the gazebo over at the Yacht and Beach Club. And I think we also saw a ballroom at the boardwalk that had like an open space. It was like a ballroom, but they also had almost like a patio with open space for ceremony locations. And then for reception locations, we looked at a ballroom at the boardwalk, the attic, which is where we ended up having the reception, and also the Napa and Sonoma rooms, I believe they're called, at the California Grill, which I was really interested in at the time, having been to California Grill, because it's so beautiful up there. So we went to all of those places that day, and then the next process was picking the date and time, and then signing the contract for the venue, reception, location. And you're also signing to basically say you're going to meet all of their minimums, because they have a lot of minimums regarding food, which is pretty normal for a wedding.
Food.
But also they have minimums just for extra expenditures. So dependent on the day of the week that you get married, you have to spend like X amount of dollars per your contract. So you kind of sign to do all of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was that, I don't know, I guess picking the venue. So like I said, we picked the attic, which is it's a room at the boardwalk that is kind of themed to be like your grandma's attic. And so they have like stuff along the walls, tennis rackets, and
kind of has a cottagey feel to it.
Yeah, it matches the boardwalk pretty well, I would say.
It does.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at pictures of this now, and that's really cool.
Were there ever any issues like with you worrying that you wouldn't get your like first choice because you did it not exactly 12 months in advance?
So we did actually, I think we talked about 4 different dates, and I think one of them was already gone.
Yeah, we lucked out too with even the one that we got.
And that's getting married on a Monday as well. I think if you're going to get married on a Saturday, wedding pavilion on a Saturday at 5 p.m., I think you probably for sure have to do it 12 months out.
Oh yeah, because it is cheaper on the weekdays, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's cheaper because you don't have to spend as much of the like extra expenditures during the week. So that's also why we went with the Monday. But I enjoyed that because I feel like almost all of our guests kind of made it a long weekend and came in on the Saturday. So it worked out well.
Yeah.
So we had a couple questions from like our listener, and I think this kind of ties into one pretty well. One of the questions that she had asked, one of our listeners, Christine, asked was, what were some ways that you guys were able to keep the cost like down if possible? And I'd assume like having it through the week would be pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Monday was probably one of the cheapest days that you could get married. And we also did a lunch reception, which brought the price down pretty considerably.
Yeah, they have different minimums for brunch, lunch, and dinner. So brunch is the cheapest, and then it goes up throughout the day of how much you have to spend per person for your food. So to keep the cost down, definitely do it earlier in the day and then a weekday.
Would be like an early wedding. What time are the weddings for a brunch?
I think early. I think 9 a.m. or earlier, because if you want to get married in the park, like at Epcot, I think you have to get married like at 9 a.m. or something, because the World Showcase is still closed. So it is very early.
That is very early.
Yeah. Those girls are going to be waking up at like 4 a.m. to get makeup on.
Yeah. But it's very popular. I see it a lot sort of on, on the Facebook threads or whatnot for Disney weddings, that it's a really popular thing to do.
Brunch has kind of made a comeback in general.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I know the other. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
And I was gonna say the other thing that she had asked too was, if there were any add-ons that they had offered to you that you guys took, and if they were worth it, or if there was anything that maybe you put on the wedding that you don't think you necessarily needed.
We had a caricature artist, which I loved a lot.
He ended up being totally worth it.
Yeah, I will say as a guest, that was like the coolest. It was way cooler than a photo booth or whatever that a lot of people do. Having the caricature artist was like very cool. Like we both have, Will and I both have caricatures of ourselves from the wedding.
Yeah, they also sent us like their top guy, and he was just one of the nicest people to have around as a stranger at your wedding. He just he felt like another guest, and he was just very professional, and we loved it.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that was probably the best add-on that we had.
Yeah.
Oh, and you had the violinist who came.
We did. So included in your, I think the cost for the venue, you get one musician. And so we picked a violinist, and he was amazing. And I heard from Kirsten and a lot of the other guests that they basically just made requests, I think, before the wedding, and he would just play any song requests that you had.
Yeah, and then he came to the reception at the beginning too, because that's when I requested Cher. So he
Shocking.
Yeah, he also played us the Game of Thrones opening, which was pretty
Oh,
great.
nice.
Yeah, he knew everything. And he also, we had, for our music, we didn't have a DJ. We just brought an iPod.
Yeah, well, that's another kind of cheap cutout.
Yeah.
They wanted like $150 to rent just like a speaker and auxiliary cord for like the wedding. So we were like, no, we'll save the $150 and just bring like a little wireless speaker, and we'll just play our own music. Thanks.
Yeah, that was
For like $150, you could buy your own.
Yeah, that's what we had said. We were like, that's
I think it was
a
even
little
more.
excessive.
I think it was even more than that. It was way too excessive just for
what literally
it
would have been a
was.
speaker and a cord.
Yeah. And so the violinist, like we had our first dance, on just the iPod, and he played the violin and like accompanied the song, which was really cool.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And
I don't know if it counts, but with the dessert party, we kind of felt like was an extra add-on in general too.
So if you have a dessert party, so either to watch Wishes, or Illuminations, or I guess whatever is
not
replacing.
Wishes anymore.
Oh yeah, that's true. It wasn't Wishes then either. If you're watching the fireworks, it doesn't go towards your minimums that you have to spend. So that is basically an add-on that you have to do. And yeah, that was worth it. That was kind of always in the plan, was to do a dessert.
Especially because we, did the lunch reception. We kind of still wanted to keep the night going and have something a little bit later, but give our guests and ourselves a kind of rest in between, which ended up working out really nicely.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So the structure of the day is, what time did y'all get married? Was it 11?
Noon.
Okay. So you got married at noon, and then we all walked over to the attic and had lunch. And then when did that end? 3?
4?
4 o'clock.
4. And then we all had a break. So me and my other friends that were there went to play mini golf. And then after mini golf, I think we changed clothes or whatever.
Sounds to me like mini golf was a romantic thing to do.
Yeah, so romantic. Notice that the bride and groom didn't play mini golf. And then we went to Epcot, and you don't need a ticket if you're just going for a dessert party like that. So we didn't need tickets to get in. And Alex and Griffin had a bunch of like glow thingies, not just glow sticks. They had like glow necklaces, glow sticks, like all these really fun things, like the glasses that you make with glow sticks. For us,
forgot about those.
The hair thing, like stuff that goes in your hair that was glowy. And we had like our private dessert party to
we
watch
had the
Illuminations.
Walk us
Yeah,
in.
we had that at UK Lockside. So on the right side of Rose and Crown, down near the water there.
Nice.
And then I think the other part of your question was any that we don't find that.
Yeah, anything that you guys probably could have done without.
I think we had too much food. For us, like food and alcohol was like the most important thing for the wedding. And I think we went a little overboard and had too much food. It was all delicious, but I don't think you need as much as like you want to have.
I enjoyed my hand-picked beer selection.
Yeah, that was worth it.
That was totally worth it.
Now, is that something they gave you like a lot of leeway on, or was it like you had a couple packages for food?
So they have
Because
standard packages. But Griffin, I don't know if you want to talk about sort of your want for better beer.
I mean, a lot of the beer packages were kind of standard, or I guess really simple, like a lot of domestic beer. And I am very much into craft beer. And so I really wanted some local Florida stuff there. So I kind of had to get them to work with me on like what they, what else they served at different parks and kind of get a custom beer package made up.
now, how easy was that? Was that like something you really had to pull on, or was it just like they were
I
pretty
mean, it
good?
was if you're willing to pay for it, they'll work with you on basically anything. But it was probably a few emails and a week of decision or two in between once I got updated lists and stuff like that. I think there was one or two that I would send back that they actually couldn't get in Epcot because it was only at Animal Kingdom or something. But for the most part, it was a pretty good list.
It was.
And then kind of tying into that question, like based on like your budget, were there things that you really wanted that you just felt like you couldn't justify the cost, or did you feel like you got everything that y'all wanted and it ended up like how you imagined it?
I'm trying to remember.
I know that's kind of like to tie into that a little bit, not to make this a little bit more complicated, but I know that's a lot of the cause for concern when people think about Disney weddings is the cost.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess overall as well, like, would you say the cost was definitely like manageable and worth it?
I think it's definitely worth it, 100%, because I personally didn't want to be that involved in the planning. Like I didn't want to have to hire all these different vendors and coordinate that. It just wasn't something like I had any desire to do. I felt like it would really stress me out to do that. So I feel like in terms of, ease and fun and just a great time, it was totally worth it. I think if the cost is manageable is super dependent on where you're coming from too, because we're from Massachusetts and weddings are really expensive there. And I think our thoughts too were, if we got married in Massachusetts, we would invite everyone we knew because it would have been a local wedding. So for us, we only had 30 guests.
It was like,
us.
like 30, yeah.
So it was 32 people total, which I think is a really manageable number. And, like we said, we did try to cut costs where we could with having it on a Monday and all that. So I think it is manageable. And I think if you say, I want to invite 100 people and have a wedding for $15,000, I don't think that's realistic, or maybe anywhere. I don't even know. But I think that I don't know. I think if you have a budget in mind and you're willing to make, sacrifices here and there, then I think that most people could do it.
Yeah. So I feel like it's definitely for the average person easier to do a small wedding because like me, I invited like 250 people to our wedding and that's why we didn't do it at Disney. One of the reasons is because I just couldn't not have like all those people there. Like a small wedding is just like not for me. Let's see. Do you have other questions?
I think the only other question that I really have is like, so you said a lot of people made it like a long weekend and flew in on the Saturday and stayed till Monday. Did you guys like when you booked your wedding through Disney, did you discuss that with them? And then like, did you try to get like room rates discounts or anything? Was there anything in that field?
Yeah, that's a good question in general. Like what are the perks that you get whenever you plan a Disney wedding?
You do get discounted room rates for your guests as long as you have to you have to sign a contract guaranteeing them you're going to book a certain number of rooms.
Which
and
is pretty standard.
I think it is. Yeah. And so as long as you do that, then your guests have access to a website where they can book rooms at a discounted rate. It's not a huge discount. I think it might be like 10%. So you may find a better discount elsewhere, but it's still something. And they do also offer discounted tickets through that as well.
Yeah. Which did anybody use that? Like take advantage of the tickets?
I don't think
Or do you
anyone.
know?
I don't think anyone took advantage of the tickets because
Um,
most people bought them last minute. Like a lot of our guests didn't plan like super far in advance, I guess, in terms of if they were going to go to parks. So I think they just bought their tickets like there.
Yeah. Which we ended up. So we had been at Disney World on our actual vacation 2 weeks before. And so Will and I just bought, instead of like a 4-day ticket, we bought a 5-day. And the day before the wedding, we used our last day. We were there like within 14 days, so we could use our last day to get in during the wedding.
Nice.
And then kind of going back to like the planning part. As far as like planning it from afar, like how was that? Do you feel like one visit, because after you booked everything, you then went back again later to do the food and all that. Do you feel like one visit was enough, or did it stress you out to plan from afar? Or?
I think it was enough. And so we did our site visit in January, and then we went back in July, I think, for
for the tasting.
And that's when we did all of our menu tasting, cake tasting, went over all like the small details.
A lot of the fine print stuff too.
And I felt like it was enough. Again, I feel like that might be different for other people. Like if more people want to be more involved, but I was happy to just kind of do it in one day.
Yeah, they do a good job of kind of, having all of their hands involved in it and really making it easy for you, and just, asking specific questions and getting specifics, like for our dessert party, if we wanted, Irish coffee with, rum or scotch and stuff like that. So it was a lot of cutting small things.
Yeah. And they do a lot of weddings. So it was very,
They
they
are
had a schedule.
experienced.
When we showed up that day, they had a schedule of everything that we were going to do. And they get a lot done in one day.
I'm sure.
But do you feel like there's room for customization for people who really want to be like super involved, like people like me?
I will say that I've heard from a lot of people, and we experience this ourselves too, is that they do a lot of weddings. So your planner is not going to email you back within a day or maybe even a few days. Like it would take, I don't know, close to a week or more, to hear back from our planner. So I think that if you want it to be really, really detailed, I think it would be tough. And I don't know if maybe people hire other planners too, like an outside planner, to do some of that as well. But I think that the response time is just not there to, I don't know, go back and forth so quickly on details.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is this is not a good idea for someone that's going to stress about it a lot.
Not if not getting a response back in a day is going to stress someone out, because I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. I had a question based off of that. Now I can't remember it.
Sorry, I derailed you.
No, I would have forgotten anyway.
I'm so old.
I guess like as far as, are there restrictions on like bringing in outdoor or outside like you can't bring any outside food in, you can't hire a different caterer,
Right.
but are there,
Oh, sure.
Can you bring anything from outside Disney, like photographer
You can't do outside photography. We didn't. We went through Disney for that. But you can do outside. We could not bring, I don't even think we could bring in floral. I think
they had a specific florist that we had to use.
It's just the Disney florist. Yeah. I think it depends on the location too. I think the more like restrictive your location, like in a park, is going to just be really much more strict. And I think it depends. I don't think anywhere you can bring in food or drink. But there are, I think, some places you can do your own floral. And they even do things like favors and the centerpieces and all that. And so I think that you can only bring, like if you wanted to do all your own centerpieces, you can only bring a certain number of items like per table, or they're going to charge you basically for bringing in your own stuff.
Interesting. So for people that maybe don't want flowers, I guess. or like want something.
You have
besides that?
you have a floral minimum.
Yeah, it's another
That you
one of
have
those
to make.
minimums that have worked in that you
Mhm.
have to make.
Okay.
I like that with a lot of this stuff, really.
But it's not hard to make them.
Yeah, it skyrockets pretty quick.
Yeah.
What about officiants?
That's outside. They give you a list of like approved vendors, but I think that you can get anyone. They just give you a list of suggestions. And we picked our officiant off that list.
Yeah.
He had done a lot of Disney weddings.
Mhm.
And we really liked him because he was very straight to the point.
Yeah,
It was, I think the ceremony itself was pretty quick.
I think it was quick.
We were like, get us to the reception. That's like, this is what we
That's
want.
the way to do it.
Yep, for
But-
sure.
And again, I've forgotten my next question.
So I have a question based kind of off of that. How, like, when they charge you for these different like venues and stuff like that, you said you guys wanted a really quick ceremony.
Mhm.
Is it per like the venue, just a flat rate, or is it like a timed block?
It's just flat. It's a flat rate, and I think you have it for an hour. And it just depends on the venue. So I think the wedding pavilion, we got married at Seabreeze Point, and I know that's definitely cheaper than the wedding pavilion. So it's a scale too.
I remember my question. So, as somebody who follows the Disney Weddings Instagram and all that, they always show pictures of girls in their wedding dresses taking pictures in the park. Because if you do like a certain level of wedding, you can go the morning after, right, and take pictures in the park. Did y'all have the opportunity? I can't even remember.
We could. So
I think they offered it to us.
I think that if you have interest in it, then you can do it. It just costs a significant amount of money.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, it's not included.
Like we're talking like thousands of dollars.
Oh wow.
I
mean,
why are you ruining my plans for a vow renewal?
I wouldn't like that. Doesn't surprise me at all because I feel like that's probably in very high demand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why I want a vow renewal. It's to take pictures in the park. Like, why else?
Glad your motives are pure.
What else? Did we have any other listener questions?
That was really it because we posted about this like months ago and then forgot to do it.
I don't know if it helps, but we also honeymooned there for the rest of our time too, so we could always.
Yeah, I mean, how is that? Was it? So my one question that I've actually kind of have based off of that, I have a friend that just got married in Florida outside of Disney, but her entire party ended up going to Disney with them while they were on their honeymoon, and she kind of was like afraid of that because they were in Florida. Did you guys see a lot of that, like people hanging around while you were on your honeymoon?
Well, so we had a lot of people, fly in and meet us there. So we kind of had like scheduled days where like, hey, like we'll be, in Epcot because it was Food and Wine. So like come meet us for this day. And then after a certain point after the wedding, we were like, so we got married on the Monday and we're like, all right, after Tuesday, we don't want to see anybody.
We were pretty clear about that.
Yeah. And I think like most of our guests like understood and they either were staying for a short period of time or, they had some of their own plans to have their own little vacation. So I think it was kind of nice to separate it at a point and just be like, we're going one way and you guys have fun.
I mean, we were just honest with our guests that, because we flew in on Friday, so we had seen people, through Monday, and then we did see people Tuesday as well. And then after that, we met up with just both sets of our parents for lunch and our dinner. And that was it. That was kind of like our send off, with them. And we didn't see anyone else after that.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else?
Oh, so I had one. I gather from this that Alex was definitely a Disney fan before this. Griffin, were you as well?
I had been once as a child before I met Alex. So I feel like I definitely didn't have as much of the love that she had for it when we first met. But it grew on me. It took a lot of different trips and kind of doing more of the adult things that I hadn't done and kind of actually, I also hadn't vacationed a lot. She vacationed a lot more with her family than I did with mine. So I think it was kind of just getting used to being in that vacation mindset too. That just kind of took me a while.
Okay.
But I've come to not be on her level of a Disney fan, but I am at a good level of appreciation, I think.
Okay.
So she converted you, kind of.
Yeah. About a solid 50%, if we had to say.
Oh, and one other perk, y'all get, if you get married at Disney, you get annual passes, right?
No.
So
Oh,
they got rid of it. Apparently, it used to be a thing, and
It
then
did.
I don't know how long
did you get
ago
discounted ones?
No.
No, we bought annual passes because we knew we were going to be there so long that it was better to get them than not.
I think they stopped that about a year before our wedding. And I don't know how long of a time frame they did it either. But I think that the weddings are just incredibly popular now, so they don't really
They're not
give that out as a perk anymore.
Yeah, that's free money they're giving away that people will spend.
So, kind of a question off of that. If you guys are like, let's say you're booking a wedding at Disney and you go for like the consultation appointments where you have to go do different things. If you have to go into a park at all, like, did you have to have a ticket for that day, or were they just like, no, you're with this wedding consultant?
We didn't. I don't think we went into any parks to look, but I don't think that you would have to pay. And so they actually drive you around like in a car, like in a, I don't know, their car.
Vehicle. Yeah, they basically chauffeur you around for the day, and
Yeah.
you do get to go to a lot of places that you normally wouldn't get to go to, or some stuff that was closed. I feel like than when we went.
Mm-hmm. Well, right, yeah, because like California Grill, we went, early in the day when it was empty, right before before it was open.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't think you would. I think that they would probably drive you backstage.
Okay, cool.
Oh, and I know, so one big part of a wedding is usually the cake. Like, how did that process go? Like the customization and all that. Is that something that gets really expensive really fast?
It was really expensive. I don't know how much a regular wedding cake costs. So I don't know if that's kind of like normal. But we went through that on our tasting day, like when we did all the menus and whatnot. And I think I brought, my iPad and pulled up some pictures, and I was like, I want it to look a little like this cake and a little like this cake, and they put it together, and it looked exactly like we wanted.
So for the cake, like define really expensive. Like you had what, a 2-layer cake?
Yeah, it was a 2-layer cake, and it was over $500 plus a serving fee.
Because it wasn't fancy, right? I mean, it was white.
Oh, I thought
right?
It was
fancy.
fondant.
Well, I mean, like it wasn't like flowers everywhere.
Yes,
like
it was not over the top. It was
it wasn't elaborate.
Yeah, like
it wasn't that elaborate. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I basically asked them, because when I saw that, I thought it was pretty high, and I asked if they had alternatives, and they didn't really. They said that we needed that much cake, I guess, to feed 32 people. And so then we would either have to do like cupcakes and a sheet cake, or like one layer that we would cut and then another alternative. So I was like, you know what, I will just keep it like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did people eat all the cake?
I have no idea. That's a bigger regret I have, because I wish that I had I wish I had eaten more cake, and I wish I had known if there was cake left over that I could have taken.
Well, even the food, could you take, like if you were staying at DVC or something, could you take the leftover food?
Really?
No.
That's surprising.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know if they would have let us take the cake.
You would have had dinner for like the whole week.
I know. No.
Heat it up in your microwave.
The same with the dessert parties. Like if you don't eat all those desserts, you're not supposed to take them. But I have heard people take them anyways, but you're not supposed to.
I should have brought a bigger purse.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pockets are deep.
What else?
I mean, I guess on the topic of cakes, like they did really make it very easy with like all of the different toppings and flavoring and like sending in advance. You got to pick out like, 3 or 4 different flavors of cream and cake and different type of cake and fruit fillings. And, you just pick a pretty wide selection, and they just bring everything out to you, and you really just get to sift through them.
And they have like a decent selection, right?
Yeah, it's a
not just,
very
like,
wide range. It's not like there's only
Mhm.
like, you know, you have like
Chocolate and
6
vanilla.
fillings to choose from. They send pages and
Mhm.
pages of stuff for you to sort through.
Who would get? I'm looking at this list, y'all, and one of the cake flavors is carrot. Who would get a carrot cake wedding cake? Please tell me.
Alex's stepdad, carrot cake is his favorite.
is
So
his
how dare
favorite.
you?
The carrot cake is like, I like carrot cake sometimes, but like not as a wedding cake. I'm sorry.
Fruit cake or something. That's like a very,
Yeah.
very select choice.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So you guys had a lot of options for customization, I'm assuming, when it came to all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they send you basically like a packet of all their different packages. So with that, you know, you can, even if you're not, so we got to look at stuff, even, you know, we kind of knew we were having that lunch reception pretty early on, but we could still look at what their, you know, breakfast package options were, and all of the different choices get broken down, you know, what you could have in your omelet bar, or like we had at our lunch reception, we had a mashed potato bar, which was great.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can mix and match. Like they do have like the standard packages, but we pretty much picked individual things
Yeah,
that we wanted, and then they just, you know, create that.
you don't have to just go through what the packages are broken down into.
So do you have options to get food from like a specific restaurant? Like I know you looked at Cali Grill, and I know that your favorite thing at Cali Grill is the ravioli. Like could you have had that, like, oh, we're not having our reception here, but we really want this ravioli from Cali Grill? Like
I think they could, because I know for the dessert party, I love school bread from Norway. And so I asked for school bread, and so they made like these little mini school breads, and it was amazing. I'm sure if you have specific requests, they would do it.
Try and get it close, because I think some of it's, you know, they're coming from different kitchens, so it wasn't the exact school bread, but it was pretty on point.
It was really good.
That's awesome. I'm so here for the mini school breads.
Yeah.
I also like school bread.
Yeah, we went pretty nuts at the dessert party. It was great.
I'm trying to remember what I even ate at the dessert party.
I don't know.
And what I all had.
We had eclairs, like all these different mini eclairs. We had cookies,
we had the school bread.
Yeah, I definitely ate cookies.
And then we had Irish coffees. I think
I think I only had like 6 Irish coffees at the dessert party. It was great.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions?
So my question's more kind of like, not like a wrap up thing, but like overall, what would you say is like your favorite thing about the fact that you guys had a Disney wedding?
For me, it was the fact that everyone that went had a lot of fun. Yeah. I feel like it was so well, I guess, like put together and organized that none of the guests had to like worry about anything. And I think that they were just all
pause. I'm going to stop you because I think we're going to be able to pick up that screaming child. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but
very faintly, but it's not that big of a deal.
Okay. Will's going back in there to stop him. Mother him. Yeah, I moved my computer into the kitchen. And so Eli's been locked in his room with Will. Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. So yeah, I think just the fact that, you know, everyone was able to have a great time, and it was just, everything was just really seamless. Like you have your planner there the day of, plus they have helpers too. So I mean,
they're minions.
Yeah. So everything, you know, flowed really nice. And yeah, I think everyone really enjoyed themselves.
Yeah,
that was my favorite part.
I was going to say too, the reaction from our guests. I mean, you know, they're all close friends and family anyways, but they also had kind of some of their own experiences from doing stuff at Disney and doing some stuff that they didn't think they would have done. And they just ended up having a great time that it just really made our time there even better.
Aw.
It's great.
Yeah, and I would think, like you said, having all the helpers and planners, like there's nothing that really goes wrong, right? Like, because I feel like everybody has a disaster wedding story of something that went wrong at their wedding.
I mean, you could mess up your vows, but that's one thing.
Well, yeah, but
I feel like there's a story behind that.
I don't remember your vows
on purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
It was great.
what I remember that was the only disaster of their wedding was Alex's dress.
It got lost in the mail.
Oh no.
It was my fault, really. Like, I sent it USPS, should have gone whatever, FedEx or something. People send their dresses. It's very common for destination weddings to send your dress ahead and have it sent to a dress shop to have it steamed, and they'll bring it to your room like the day of the wedding. And mine got lost in the mail, but that's okay. I found a new dress.
And I never saw the first dress, so I was none the wiser.
Yeah. So that was fine. And if there's any people listening, I would not be scared to send your dress. This was really like a fluke thing. And if I would still send another dress now, honestly. It was just
You just use a different service.
I would use a different service. It was tracked, it was insured and all that, but it still did not make it there in time.
Did it actually make it there?
Like a week after.
It did. I think it got there like 3 or 4 days after. Yeah.
But other than that, I mean,
it's
pretty seamless for them because they crank them out.
Yeah,
I mean they do tons every day.
Yeah, I mean they're so used to it, but like Sam, they gave us a certain meetup spot outside Epcot. Somebody was there with a flag to lead the whole group in, and
so you're like a mini Brazilian tour group.
Yeah. We were just dressed to the nines.
Yeah. Anything else? Any conclusions?
I don't know. It sounds like they went super seamless with everything, and it sounds like you guys had, a really easy time.
I guess, would you do anything differently?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If I had the money, I would have done outside photography. I do like our pictures, but I think that they're not like highly edited. I think that a lot of like wedding pictures that you get back now from photographers are very edited, and that's not what these were. So I think if I had more money, I would have done that, but I'm still happy.
Yeah, I mean,
what we have.
I think, the whole decision-making process, we really narrowed it down and tried to think about, what we really wanted out of the wedding, and that kind of geared our experience. But yeah, I guess, if you had more money, we probably would have done a lot more, and
maybe in Magic Kingdom.
Or like a Saturday night, and there's definitely not regrets, but you always wish you could kind of
have unlimited.
Yeah, go at it full force.
Yeah, but I think everything we did, we were happy with.
Yeah.
I mean, like I know we've said this a few times how it was seamless, but it really was. And if anything went wrong, we didn't know. They just told me where to go, and I was like, okay, this is great.
Yeah. Is there any advice you would give to people who are like thinking about it or about to plan one?
Definitely plan it long enough out in advance. Because it did feel rushed for us. Like anytime we got something and we had to make decisions, it was like, you guys got to get this back to us in like 2 weeks. And so definitely if you start plan it in advance.
Right. Like, because we had started the planning within that 12-month window. So yeah, I guess if you have a longer time period, to plan everything, it would probably be easier.
I guess like go into it with ideas of knowing kind of what you want, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because I would say, and it's probably just us too. Like, I just don't think we had a huge idea about like what specific things we wanted,
Yeah.
But it all worked out.
That's the important thing, right? It all worked out in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We totally would do it again. So.
Yep.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, I guess you can wrap it up, Mario.
Yeah, I'm all questioned out unless you guys have any other ones.
No,
I'm trying to think of anything else.
Yeah.
We did get upgraded at the boardwalk for our hotel.
Yeah.
So we had booked a standard room at the boardwalk, and we got upgraded to one of the cottage suites.
Oh, nice.
It was amazing. And so I think they only fit 2 people, but they're pretty large. So it's like a loft style. You have a king or queen bed up in the loft with a full bathroom. And then downstairs, it's like a little living room and kitchenette with a half bath. So that was amazing.
It was pretty adorable.
And, it just gave us the ability to like have a lot of people come over, into the room and hang out. And it was just great. So that was awesome. And then another thing that I really liked doing too was, because we were staying at the boardwalk, was that we could just like go out there and just like get a pizza with our guests. I feel like that was some of the most fun that we had, was just kind of like hanging out and catching up. I feel like that resort is, I just like that resort a lot for like the, I don't know, that you can like hang out.
I talk often about our love for the boardwalk.
I mean, it was kind of nice too, especially because I have like a lot of friends and family who weren't really Disney people and hadn't done it in a while, and them being able to go back and go to the boardwalk and be like, oh, you can just like buy a beer and walk around with it now and kind of just relax and hang out. I feel like our guests really enjoyed that, especially because we were staying there too, so we could just go stand out on the boardwalk and run into anybody we knew because they were all around that area too.
Yeah, it is a great place to like feel, I guess, like a real gathering. Like I remember the night before, I guess, you had a room that was concierge level, and we went up there to get snacks, of course, and like off of your little balcony or whatever, we could see, you know, Griffin's family downstairs, and so we were like yelling at them, and I don't know, it's just like nice because if you have a group like that there, it's very easy to feel like a whole group. Not like sectioned off,
and it's not as like busy sometimes, like trying to all hang, like even the day that we hung out on a Saturday for Food and Wine Fest, and we ended up having like 3 or 4 different groups of people of like anywhere between 5 and 8 per person, like all kind of conjoin at once, and it was trying to move around with this group of like 20 people and a couple of kids and walk around Food and Wine when it was really busy, and then like comparable just to sitting out on the boardwalk.
Yeah, I feel like it's way easier to hang out at the boardwalk rather than somewhere like the Grand Floridian lobby or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. There's not as many like gathering spots, I feel like.
We would have got kicked out of there.
Oh, so fast. We almost got kicked out one time, so.
What?
When we snuck up on the concierge level.
No, they're gonna arrest me and send me to prison.
That's fine.
We'll talk about this later.
You'll have an
Let's
insight.
talk about this later.
Sorry, I didn't know if these certain things were taboo.
No, that's. I was laughing at Kirsten for saying that.
We've been up to Grand Floridian concierge level, but we have never stayed there. That's it. Anyway, are we done?
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming on and talking about this with us. I am very glad that you could join us for this.
Of course.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Fun. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Are you ready for your close-up? Are y'all stopping? Have y'all stopped recording?
I can.
I don't know. Okay. I didn't want to stop before I should.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I just stopped.
Yep.